Hi, everyone, and good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us today. I hope your Thursday is going well so far. My name is Sandy Elson, and this webinar is being brought to you by the travel professional community and homebasedtravelagent.com and by our host for today's webinar, Scenic Cruises. Our speaker for Scenic Cruises is Randy Goodrich. Randy's topic is Great Online Tools to Help You Market, Sell, and Close. Randy does travel agent training for both sister cruise lines, Scenic Cruises and Emerald Waterways, and is also a business development manager in many states for both cruise lines. And as always, we really appreciate the support we get from both Scenic and Emerald. Before we get started, please remember that you are all muted, but we welcome your questions. You can type in your questions at any time in the question area you see on the right-hand panel of your screen. At the end of Randy's presentation, we'll get to as many questions as we can. So let's get right to all of this exciting information about Scenic Cruises online tools. Welcome, Randy.
Thank you, Sandy, and thank you to all of you who are joining us today. Appreciate taking the time and effort to learn more about Scenic and about these great tools we have for you. If you want to focus on selling river cruises and really feature Scenic, you're going to enjoy it today because they have one of the easiest systems out there to find availability, to actually book or create a quote, and then to kind of manage your bookings too. So I've been very impressed with that. Thought I'd share that. You are my first ones to see this webinar, so hopefully I will run through it smoothly for you and then take your questions at the end. So first we'll just do a quick week recap. I know a lot of you have already been on some of the webinars about Scenic, but I'll give a quick recap. First of all, Scenic is an Australian-based company. We're actually in our 30th year in business, and in that 30 years, we started as a tour company just in Australia and then in New Zealand, and then sending luxury tours all over the world, all 7 continents. In 2008, Mr. Maroney, who founded the company, owns it, still runs it, he decided to get into the river cruise business, and he started Scenic as the first real luxury 5-star focused all-inclusive river cruise company out there. He did that and built several ships in 2008, 2009, 10. Actually learned some things those first couple of years and started to fix the ships in a little bit different way, such as he was the first one to have balconies. He decided that the balconies then needed to be enclosed because of some of the weather conditions you can run into. And excuse me just a second. Excuse me, I'm going to hold my throat. Weather can be bad in Europe sometimes, cold, windy, wet. So they actually enclose the balconies with the push of a button. Makes it quite nice. First to have butler service, first for a lot of things. In 2014, he decided to introduce Emerald Waterways as a 4-star plus brand, mainly to compete with the other primary brands out there, the other 4-star brands, like, Avalon, those guys. Viking was obviously creating an awful lot of demand for river cruises with their advertising programs. So he wanted to have a brand that was not just focused on 5-star, but also 4-star and be a great value. And we'll talk about that in a second. And then this year, we also introduced our 6-star brand, the Scenic Eclipse, the world's first discovery yacht, which will be out in 2018. So those are our 3 brands that we represent. And as we go through the online tools today, all 3 of these work through the same system. So it makes it very easy. So Emerald, we were happy this week. We just got, for the 2nd year in a row from Cruise Critic, the best value in river cruising. So that's extremely important to your clients who are a little more value focused, not needing all the inclusive items that a Scenic would provide them at a little bit more expense. So for 2 years in a row, our first year, we've only been in business 3 years. So the first year, we actually got best new river ship designed by them. So that's a nice way to start. Emerald's got 4 ships right now in the Rhine, Main, and Danube. They've been chartering a ship for the Rhone, but next year we'll have our own ship on the Rhone. So We're building a beautiful new ship for the Rhone, also a new one for the Douro, and we're at another one, a fifth ship on the Rhine-Main Danube. So we're expanding quite rapidly with that product. So for your value-focused clients, think of Emerald. Scenic is the luxury five-star river cruise company. I think some of you have seen my presentations in the past with the chart from River Cruise Advisor, which compares all of the river cruise companies, and you very vividly can see that nobody offers as much as Scenic. We have some very exclusive events and features, such as our GPS units that are extremely popular, so people can tour on their own and do things like that. Our e-bikes, so that more people can enjoy the bike experience, the butler service, everything's included. You can see in this beautiful picture here, if you look at the balconies, some of them are open and some are closed. So it's an outer window on the balcony. So these are actually balconies, but they can be enclosed, and then there's a door to go inside the cabin, which a lot of people just leave open all the time. But great picture of the parlor building there in Budapest. Here's a list of what is included with Scenic, and this will include also the Scenic Eclipse, so it's all of our river ships as well as our new ocean ship coming out. So all the transfers are included before and after the cruise. We'll have up to 6 dining choices on most of the ships. There may even be more on the ocean ship. It's still in final design. All kinds of drinks, from water to wine to beer to spirits, anytime they want. No restrictions there as far as time. And butler service for all cabins, even the least expensive, and mini bar in all cabins that would be stocked with what they want. As mentioned, all the cabins on the second and third deck have the balconies. And then most important on a river cruise are what we do to enable your clients to experience these wonderful destinations along the waterways. And one of the things we do is provide more than just one excursion per day. We have up to 6. Typically those are around the same time in the mornings. But what's nice is that we call them free choice because it's a choice, and they're all free. They're all included in the price. So your customer doesn't have to worry about what they cost. They can just focus on what they want to do. And then you have the Scenic and Rich. These are the once-in-a-lifetime private experiences, such as a private concert and ballet in Vienna, a private showing of The Sound of Music up in Salzburg, a private dinner and concert in the Palais de Pop in Avignon, France. So typically every week we'll have at least one of these events. And then we also have sundowners, afternoon cocktail party, a wine reception in some fabulous location, the GPS units, the e-bikes, again, all tips, gratuities, Wi-Fi, onboard entertainment, all that's included. Laundry concierge, that's new this year, been very popular to allow people to get a bag of laundry done every week. And then new for next year, the Scenic Cruise Guarantee. And we're still getting all the final information of that, but if the cruise is disrupted to a certain degree, where we cannot reconcile the situation, now to date we've always been able to, by swapping ships or using buses to get people around and continue the vacation without huge disruption. But there is a big disruption because of high water, low water, mechanical breakdown of blocks, bridges, even the ship. Then if that comes to a certain degree, we'll refund the money to your client. So we are truly all-inclusive to the nth degree. New for 2018, actually we're within the 2-year window now. Our first sailing will be August 31st, 2018. World's first discovery yacht. We call it Discovery, not Expedition. This is for your clients that want to see some very unique places in the world on a beautiful ship and in luxury and comfort. It has 2 helicopters and a submarine, so they don't have to go hiking up that mountain there to see the top. They're going to fly right over the top of it. So very, very cool. This is going to be a state-of-the-art ship from the standpoint of luxury, but also from the standpoint of safety. It's got some special features. And if you're not aware of those, I encourage you to go to our website, scenicusa.com/eclipse. There's a nice video that explains a lot of that. But you need to do it if you have customers you think would like this product, because it's over 60% sold out with some of the itineraries totally chartered or sold out. so it's not too early to get them a pre-booking. But 551 feet. It's only 100 feet longer than our ships, which take up to 169 passengers. This one only takes 228 max, 200 in the Arctic areas. 172 crew members, 5,000 square foot spa, 7 passenger helicopters and submarine, and state-of-the-art safety and comfort features. So very, very cool product. Schedule starts August 31st. There's going to be 30 segments. 8 of them are in Antarctica in the winter of 18 through March of 19, that should be. And then we go up to the Med, up to the Great Britain area, and then into Norway and up to the fjords, all the way up to Longyearbyen, way above the Arctic Circle. And then in the fall, come back down to North America. So great schedules, some great itineraries. So we're here today to talk really more about, okay, great product, your customer calls you, they're interested, you need to go find availability, you need to find out, be able to send them more information, etc. So when you go to scenicusa.com, it is the same with emeraldwaterways.com. It would look sort of like this. Emerald obviously would look a little different, but you'll have that agent portal up in the left-hand corner. That's what you want to click on. When you click on that, you'll start to see some of the features in that portal for you. ExpressBook is a booking engine. We'll come back and look at that in detail later. Scenic Specialist is the specialist program. You will want to take that program before you make your first booking, because you will get a bonus commission for your first booking within a 6-month period after passing that course. Well worth your time to do that. And then if you want to get into the booking engine, there's 2 things here: register online. But if you are part of a host agency or another large agency, you're encouraged to sign up underneath them. So if they've already registered, they have a master username and password that will allow you to get in, or they'll do that for you and set you up with your own username and password, and they can track everything a little bit better and get credit for your bookings, so that down the road we can negotiate some of the better deals. But if you want to sign up online yourself individually, then you just click that button, you register yourself, you get a username and password. Further down that page, we've got our sales support, the numbers for your local BDMs. When you want to, if you need any help, you have any questions, you want to talk to us about a cruise night or some type of presentation or co-op, whatever it might be, you want to call your BDM and start that process. You can also order our brochures, and we have a lot of new brochures. If you haven't looked at that recently, we've added what we call mini brochures. These brochures are not the entire set of itineraries that we have, but they're focused on specific areas. There's one on the Rhine-Main-Danube cruises. There's one specifically on Danube. There's one on Russia. There's one for Southeast Asia. There's one for Bordeaux, Seine. So if you have clients and they want just that specific itinerary, you can order brochures, or you put a group together, even better. You can order a set of those brochures, get your labels on, and start using those to market. And it's better than giving them the whole brochure, which they start looking at other products and get confused. Video gallery, this is where you get a lot of our online videos, and you can copy those and copy the URL, send it over to your clients. We've got lots of them based on destinations, based on our ships, or generically about our features, like what are free choice, what are some samples of enrich, things like that. Lots of information there for you. And then we've got some 360-degree tours, so you can get a better feel for how the ships are laid out. There's that comparison chart done by River Cruise Advisor. You can open that up and print that off if you want. And scenic events, or if we're having events in your area, presentations and things like that, this is where you'd locate some of that information. And finally, there's information on insurance companies. There's a set of reviews done by your fellow travel agents on our product. And our terms and conditions, you can actually look at them and probably expand them so you can actually read it from the size 2 font or whatever it is normally. Almost impossible to read, especially for an older guy like me. But that's essentially all the features you can get in the agent portal. Now, registering your agency, as I mentioned, if you have a host that's already registered, you want to register under their name. You'll need your ARC, IATA, your name, address, contact information, whether you're home-based or you worked in a brick-and-mortar type agency. and then you submit it. You'll get an email back. Email will give you a username and password. So when you come back in and you click that Express Book, the first time you have to put that in. After that, it will remember who you are, so you don't have to do that process. It makes it very quick. 1, 2 clicks. Now you're in the booking engine. That's the welcome page. You can see there's a lot of things here, but it's pretty self-explanatory. The only thing that might be foreign to you is Tour Personalizer. That's like guest information form for the other cruise lines. That's, I guess, a Australian name for Tour Personalizer for the guest information form. That will become pretty familiar with you as you do reservations with us, because it's going to constantly remind you that they haven't filled out the Tour Personalizer. And we'll go into that a little bit later. But you can easily look at your bookings. You can make sure your account's set up properly, things like that. So the most predominant button you're going to use will be this booking button. So when you click on that, if you have any this is kind of current things you're working on. So I just put some sample ones in here. Here's a quote. So you'll see later with a quote, you can create a quote. And if the customer calls back and says, we talked to our friends, everybody wants to go, let's book it. You just go in here, open this up, and convert it to a booking. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel and rebook it. And find the space. It's right there. We're not holding the space, but at that point in time, you can go ahead and book it. If you have other bookings where there's a deposit due or where there's some additional information, whatever, you can open these up. People have lost their confirmation. They need another copy. They get 2 minutes to open this up, print it for them, or send an email to them. Very, very neat place. You want to book, you click here. Click check availability and quote or book. You can also go in and see all of your bookings if you want. You can search by name of client if you can't find it. Recent task is what it defaults to that we were just showing you. So if I clicked on book, it's going to come up now. And if you have groups, these are your groups. So you can book into just a general booking engine, or you can go right into a specific group, which is just going to pull up that sailing. So you don't go through all these other choices. So you can very quickly get in there. You can see how many people have booked, etc. So when you get into the booking screen, there are just 3 items you need to know. One is, what is the tour code? So in our brochures or online, when you get to the pricing area, pricing box, the tour code will be there. So NBU is our Nuremberg to Budapest. So it's not a real complicated code system, but that's pretty easy. If you had Prague with the Danube River, it would be PMB. So it's not real hard to figure that part out. Put that in. You put in the first date they might be interested in sailing with us. So in this case, we had October 2017. It's going to default 3 months and show you everything within that 3-month period. And then, is it a single or double? We don't have triples, even though there's a drop down. Our tour booking tour company actually uses the same things, but sometimes they have triples. That's why that's confusing. But just select 1 or 2 people in the room. You can also select here, next to it, double or twin. So if it's just two ladies traveling together, for example, you probably want a twin. So, and don't worry if you don't mark that correctly. We'll get that. We can always change that later. So I've opened it up. Now what happened first, there was a screen before this, is that all of them just had one-liners like this. But I clicked on the plus button. See, it shows minus here, and I clicked. So in these, I clicked on the plus to see which kind of categories are actually available. So if I had somebody looking for, let me see here, looks like deluxe balcony. They're looking for a junior suite, and I can see that this one has it, but it's a modified. There's some of our junior suites have on the deck just a little thing that goes out. It's part of the ship, but we like to make sure they know that. So I say, well, why don't we go to this date? October 4th works for you. Let's do this date because it's got a regular junior suite available. So once I do that, I select it by clicking over here on the button and moving forward. First thing it's going to do is tell me anything that I should know and tell my client about this particular sailing. And this information is kept up to date on a daily basis. So if there's any kind of potential disruption or something on that particular tour, a couple of weeks ago, about a month ago, we had a lock that broke outside of north of Budapest. So it caused a little bit of a deviation that all the cruise lines had to work around. So we'll put that kind of information here. So it's kind of easy to do a quick. This is kind of boilerplate here, but if there was something, it would be highlighted and you'd know it. Now down at the bottom, you can see, are we going to book this or quote it? So if your client's just kind of shopping and they're not really sure, you can book it because you have 2 days to pay the deposit. But if you want to just create a quote, it's kind of a cool system because it will actually create an email that you can send to your client. So let's say we're going to book this tour this time. Type the next page. The information you need to put in there, of course, is your client, the name. And this is going to be the name as it shows up on their passports. So we need the full name and we need their date of birth. Scenic club number. We do have a frequent, program, a repeat user program. And so if they've already taken a cruise or a tour with Scenic and can get their number, then they will get additional credit. The second time around, it's like $200 off per person, so it's well worth it. So once you do that, then there is a page asking questions about diet, medical, mobility. You can do that now. We can take care of that later. But it's important to know that we want to know all that information prior to their arrival, so we're properly prepared to take care of your customer. Then you would select which specials. So typically our specials now are centered around fly free. We have a fly free offer until the end of October. It stipulates that right there, what it is, out of certain cities for certain types of suites. And so for the standard suite in this case, those are the lower price suites, D and E down at the bottom, no balcony. We'll give fly free because those are the hardest suites for us to sell. Everybody wants a balcony. If they want the balcony or above, then it's $495 round trip airfare. There's a reduced deposit. Obviously, you'd probably select that unless people select to pay more in deposit. Or if they don't want the air, they're going to do their own or use miles, and you get the air credit, which in this case is $800. So select which of those offers are pertinent to your client. And then it's going to pull up a live view of the deck plan. And here's the junior suite that's available, 302. Okay, and it tells you over here, the blue is RJ 302. It's got the price. So you can very quickly see all these other cabins. That's the only cabin on the top deck, the diamond deck, that's available. And that's it. There's some down on the second deck. By the way, this is the single cabin there. It shows up quite well here, but you can see there's a stairwell for the staff. So instead of just making that a big closet, we made that into a room. It's the same size width-wise. It just was cut off because of the stairwell. So we put, instead of a queen-size bed, it's got a single bed in there. I've actually stayed in that. It's quite comfortable. Very nice. Then you can actually select that. So I selected that, put 2 people in there now. And I can go over with the client exactly the layout of that particular cabin. And then I can select pre and post. Do I want to select some pre and post? In this case, they're going to go on to Budapest early, or Nuremberg early, so we're going to have to delay Meridian for a night or 2, whatever that might be. Then you continue on. Now, pre-booking of free choice. This is different for every itinerary. Typically, we only book the first couple of days. So like in this case, they're going to arrive. The cruise is going to start in Nuremberg, so we need to have kind of an idea how many people want to do the tour of Nuremberg, beautiful old city itself, but how many want to go out to the World War II museum and see that site. So we just have this is not hard written in stone, but it gives us our people on board an idea of how many people want to go this direction, how many want to go that. So we have our own buses, so it's not an issue from that standpoint. We just need to figure out we're taking 3 buses this direction and 1 this, or what is it? They change their mind once they get there. That's not a big deal. We're not going to shoot them or anything or throw them overboard. We're just going to make some adaptation. And these guys work well under pressure. So that all works. The second day is Regensburg. So again, we kind of want to know the excursion to the Weltenberg Abbey is a wonderful excursion, but it's fairly detailed. We just need to have a clue how many people we think are going to be going. And then Vienna is later, but Vienna is a very popular, and there's a destination, and there's some really neat things to do. So again, we're just trying to get a read on how many people. So if you don't fill this out right away, it's not a big deal. It's going to be in the trip personalizer. They can select it anytime they want. We prefer to have them do that before the final payment, so we have those numbers. You always want to double check your information, agent contact information, make sure that's correct. And then flight information. So what you do initially is a lot of times you're booking over a year away, so you can't even book the air. So just put some notes if they want to have a quote from us. And this again is not written in stone. This is just saying, hey, they would like a quote. If they don't like the quote, they can go back to an air credit. They're very flexible that way. But just put in like JFK, they like to have business class. They would pay the difference between coach and business class. So that's how that works. Any information you can put in there just to help the air department once they're at that point where they can go ahead and book the air. And then you get a confirmation. So this is a quote confirmation here. We create a quote. It's got a quote number. It's got all the detailed information on it, the trip itself, the different pricing components. Here, any kind of discount. Now in this case, we put in fly free. We take the air credit instead of that. We're going to use miles for the ticket. So there's this $1,600 credit. If they had any other credits, like a group credit or a cruise night credit, anything like that, we'd get that in there. So they can very easily see what the cost is for the cruise. And then down further, it gives them a lot of additional information. And this is the confirmation. So the confirmation is going to be sent to the client, and they're going to have 2 days. If it's a booking confirmation, not a quote, they're going to have 2 days to make their $500 per person deposit. Now, right now, we're running a $250 per person deposit till the end of October, so they don't have to pay quite as much up front. The final payment is due 90 days prior to departure. The only other payment they would owe us is air deposit if we are doing their air. We actually go out and buy that airfare, so we ask for an additional deposit of $1,500. It's not an additional cost. That $1,500 per person is taken out of their final payment. So it's just that we need to cover that cost. This is some more information on the confirmation itself. So this is a quote confirmation. And when you open it up, you can see down at the bottom, there's a convert to booking. If it was a regular confirmation, it would be in your list of confirmations, and it would say awaiting deposit. So it's either going to say awaiting deposit, or it's going to say quote. And then once you pay the deposit, it's going to show as a regular booking. So this is Trip Personalizes. So this is an email confirmation. Anytime we send you an email for your client, the attachment is the full confirmation, again showing all the pricing and everything. This is the terms and conditions. And then down below in that email is always going to be this. So here's this, and it shows incomplete, incomplete, incomplete. So this is that guest information form. Your client can click on this and complete those at any point in time. We will not, we need it done by the time of the final payment, 90 days prior. If they don't do it, they will hold up their documents, and you don't have that out. So the only tricky part in this, which we're trying to get changed, but right now it's still the same way, is that the terms and conditions have got to be approved first and accepted. So you as the agent can click on this and go in and go into the Trip Personalizer, and there's a little box down at the bottom that says I am the travel agent, and I've discussed the terms and conditions with the client that's acceptable. You check that box. What's funny, it took me a little while to figure this out, but that only lasts for, I think, 48 hours. So if the client has not gone in to complete the rest of the information within that 48-hour period, you're going to have to go back in again and check that box. And so they have to do that fairly quickly, so you need to let them know. What I suggest is to just tell the client when you're ready, passenger details are going to be passport numbers, emergency contact, things like that. The air, if we do the air, then we will have that information put in automatically. You need to know when they're going to arrive, parts, make sure the transfers are set up properly. So it's just a pretty easy thing compared to some guest information formats. It just needs to be done before final payment. Okay. You can always look up when you go into the Express Books. You click on Trip Personalizer, you just put the booking number in, and you can always look and see how people have done it at filling it in. You can also, there's a lot of things you can do with the reservation when you open it up. So there's make a credit card payment. We're actually not quite set up for that yet. It's almost ready. You can change the cabin number if they decided they don't want that one cabin, they want to change to another. It'll pull the deck plan back up, and you just select another cabin. If the price changes, then it will alter this, and you can send the client a new confirmation. Traveling companions, if there's some movement and changes there, you can work on it. Delivery address, if you want the documents, and by the way, the documents that come from both Scenic and Emerald are rather hefty because there is a backpack for each person. So it's going to be a pretty good size envelope, 2 backpacks, leather documentation folder with their confirmation, everything in there. Some agents want to get that first so you can add whatever you want to add. But if you have a client that's halfway across the country, you're worried about, is there going to be enough time for me to do all that? You can go in here and put their delivery address in if you want to. And then you can, any point in time, click on this view print booking advice. That will pull up a new confirmation. You can double check things. You can then send it to yourself or to anybody else that you want to. And then you can go in over here to Trip Personalizer to complete it. It makes it quite nice. Very easy to manage. So here you see that I've gone in, I completed my guest details, I completed this, but I haven't done this part. So I haven't done my airline booking. So it's very simple to see where your reservation is in terms of the whole process. So here's this is the Trip Personalizer itself. So there's a summary page, which is where they put their personal information in, passports, things like that, along with the guest details. And then this would be where they just click which of the short excursions they want. Makes it pretty easy. This is where you put in the airline information. You say, I'll be making my own arrangements, so we would not set up any kind of transfer. So just so you understand that, if people come in early and they're not booking a pre-hotel with us, then we cannot do the transfer for them. Or if they do that and they can get our hotel in that city, then we will take them to the boat. But we can't set up this pre-transfer that way. They just show up at the hotel and we'll take them if they're there. But otherwise, you fill in, if they've done their own air or you've done it for them, just need to fill that information so we know how to take care of it. Pretty simple. So we're getting ready to wrap this up. So current specials right now, so you know, because these expire at the end of the month, and these are a great deal. These are, I'm told these are going to go away, and there'll be something different, not as good a deal. So if you have clients that are kind of thinking about a river cruise for 17, then you might want to talk to them right now about getting this deal. So this is where you have fly free for certain markets, certain sailings. And so 14 days plus on the Rhine RMD is Rhine, Main, Danube. It's free air. The 7-night and category D and E, it's going to be free air, but not in the other categories for the 7-night. And then all of France, all of our France sailings in the Seine, Bordeaux area, and the Rhone rivers are free air. And then $4.95 air on the balcony cabins and above on the Rhine, Main, Danube, or they can get an air credit. So the air credit can be pretty substantial. Same with Southeast Asia, pretty similar setup for those cruises as well. Good time to get your clients to buy. There's also that $250 deposit instead of the $500 deposit. I encourage you to take the Scenic Specialist program. Once you open it up, you can click on it through that agent portal. You'll see this. You just register and then go through the process. Just click forward and forward. A lot of great information, not only on our ships and our services, but just on helping you sell sell travel in general, but Scenic in particular, and you'll get a nice reward for doing that. So with that, Sandy, I'm done, and I'll take some questions. This is a list of our BDMs in the United States. If you happen to be joining us from Canada, you'll need to go to the Canadian office. Some of these things I've talked about today, the special services, the Scenic Specialist program, those things are not available yet in Canada, or they're different. So you really need to go through the Canadian office up there. But thank you very much for participating. And I'll take questions now, Sandy.
Okay, great. Thanks, Randy. That was really interesting. Lots that we can do to book Scenic on our computers. Our first question is from back at the beginning of your presentation. Someone wants you to explain again what are the exclusive sundowners that you mentioned.
Sundowners, that term comes from safaris. They do that in safaris where you'd be, safaring along, and then they'll stop in the afternoon and pitch a party. They'll have a wine party, cocktails, whatever, kind of out in some really cool place. So we last year started doing that on our river cruises. So once a week, typically we'll have either a wine reception or a cocktail party with appetizers in some really cool, unique place. I know on the Danube, we have the party up on the highest castle there is on the Danube. Part of the castle is kind of in ruins and stuff. I understand it's just a spectacular event, and the view is really something else. When I was in Bordeaux with some of my friends last year, we were in Saint-Emilion. Most of you have heard of that famous wine area. Beautiful, beautiful town there, very old. And then we went over to a chateau. Looked pretty much like a castle to me, but they call it a chateau. And had this beautiful wine reception and appetite. So that's what Sundowners is. Pretty cool.
Okay, fantastic. Can you give us a thumbnail sketch of the typical demographic? Where is the typical passenger from? What's the age group? That kind of thing.
Sure. I mean, I think the difference in Scenic and Emerald than some of the other lines, I mean, we're all in the 55 plus. That's the majority of our clientele. They're all fairly mobile. There are some ability to help people that have mobility issues, but you're pretty active on a daily basis on these trips. Getting on and off the ship can be a little challenging, but it is the 55 plus range. We're seeing that change a little bit. Emerald in particular is getting some younger people, 30s and 40s, because we have the swimming pool, the cinema, and the very new trendy kind of designs on their ships. Let's see, what was the second part of that question?
The age, the nationality.
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to get to. That's where we're different in that we are an Australian company. So I have found that to be a huge benefit, in my opinion, because I've been on many of the other cruise lines, and it's not bad. I mean, but it's all North Americans for the most part, which is fine, but we all kind of complain about the same things. And but it's nice to go sit down at either at a meal or just in the lounge and start talking to somebody that lives halfway around the world. So it's the clientele. Right now, the clientele is starting to run, since we've been marketing North America more aggressively the last few years. It's about a third Australian, New Zealanders, about a third from Great Britain, Ireland, England, Scotland, and a third from North America, with a spattering of other English-speaking countries that will jump on board, like South Africa and some places. So it's a true international global experience for your client to really be able to sit down and talk to people and get their experiences in their life, and probably not talk too much about politics.
I was just going to say it might be interesting to be with people from other countries from around the world, particularly if you're cruising after November 8th of this year, so that there's some other
Well, you know,
topic
one of the things,
conversation.
well, since we're talking about that, one of the things that is interesting is we get feedback from people from other parts of the world on their perspective. So all of you are dealing with this perspective that people in the United States and Canada have, that it's dangerous to go to Europe because of the terrorist bombings and whatnot. Well, equally so, the people in Europe and Australia and New Zealand are concerned about coming to the United States because of their perception of what's going on. So because the press, rightfully so, makes a big deal out of these things, the perception of people naively is that the whole area, all of Europe, is potential turmoil, and their perception is the United States, they're killing cops, they're doing stuff. So it's your job to kind of, without arguing with them or anything, to kind of give them a different perspective that really there's a lot being done to keep people safe. In the greater, just like the days, you get an airplane go down, everybody wants to stop. Not everybody, but a lot of people want to not fly anymore. Well, it's like safer to be in an airplane than it is to be in a car. So it's just that perspective. It's very interesting.
One of our agents wants to know if it's required for registering on the website, and I presume he means selling Emerald and Scenic as well. Is it required that they have an IATA number or a CLIA number, or is there some other way that they can prove who they are?
Well, we prefer to have those. I would suggest, we want to have you. You need to have you in the system so we know who we're working with, and so we can contact you if anything comes up, etc. Make sure we get the commission to you. We pay our commissions right away. Like when your clients get on board the ship, that commission is going to start to be processed. So it's paid within a week, pretty much when your client's traveling. But we want to make sure we have it set up. We want to make sure we pay you the right amount, all that good stuff. So yes, register if you don't have a CLIA. With a CLIA, there's true numbers, there's IATAs, ARC numbers, all kinds of things. And it may be the IATA number of your host. That's fine, but then we want your contact information.
Okay. One of our agents is in Canada and says that he's not able to create a travel agent sign-in. Is that one of the features that you just mentioned is not available yet to Canadian agents?
Well, I think it probably recognized that you are in Canada, so you need to go to the scenic.ca site, not the Scenic USA site, I think. I'm not sure. I haven't done that myself. Or call the Canadian office up there. There's reservations. Ask them if they can help you with that.
Okay, and you said that on the list of tours, you can click on each one for a description of the tour?
Yeah, it'll expand and tell you, what's going on. It's also in the brochure. Brochure is pretty well detailed. There's usually the first page of it's kind of a synopsis overview, and then the second page, the next page over, has the day-by-day stuff. And it's the day-by-day, each day is, I can't remember, it's in black type or something. But then there's some days that have gold type, and that would be your Scenic and Rich and your sundowners, these very special exclusive events. So you can very easily highlight those when you're talking to your client. So if they're comparing, you say, well, by the way, with Scenic, take a look at this. This is what you do in Vienna versus what the others do.
Okay, excellent. One of our agents has jumped to the Scenic Eclipse and wants to know if the helicopter and submarine tours are included in the price of the Eclipse.
That would be a negative. So there is going to be a charge that hasn't been finalized what it is. I've seen some of the numbers that seem very fair. It's not a ripoff. It's not an area that Mr. Maroney is expecting to make money off of. He just wants to cover his expense. That's not a cheap feature to have. So the only thing on our Scenic ships that you can pay money for is a massage, a haircut. There's a small gift shop with necklaces and watches and things. And then there is an upscale wine and champagne list if somebody's having a special occasion. The wine and champagne they serve that's included is quite good. On the Eclipse, there'll be the same exact deal. So it's got the big spa, so massages and things like that in the spa will be a charge. But the helicopter and the submarine will have an additional charge if they want to use it, 7 passengers at a time. So really, not everybody's going to be able to certainly not get on those at the same location. And then I understand there's going to be some, when we're in the Caribbean or we're in the Med, there'll be some extended diving opportunities that would have an additional charge for. But that's not finalized yet. Good question. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take a couple more questions. I want to remind our agents that if we don't get to your question today, or if you think of something after the webinar is over, Randy has left all of the contact information for your local BDMs and also the websites, scenicusa.com, emeraldwaterways.com, scenic.ca for Canadian agents. So take a look at this, jot down what you need to, or take a screenshot of it for reference later. Is there a fee if the client cancels after putting down a deposit?
Yes, deposit is non-refundable. So there are circumstances we'll take a look at for sure and see if we can, transfer that or take them to another sale. Just kind of depends. We'll look at it. Again, Australian companies don't like hard, fast rules. So if it makes sense, we'll take a look at it. But that's where you want to contact the BDM and explain the situation to them. But normally it's a non-refundable fee.
Okay, and for agents booking in Canada, are rates quoted in Canadian dollars or is it always in US dollars?
No, they're in Canadian, but that's why you need to go to the Canadian version of this program, not the U.S. version. So they are different. And we manage the U.S. website and pricing, and Canada manages their website pricing. And the special offers are different too. So.
All right, so Canadian agents, be sure you go to the Canadian site. And it's listed right there on the lower right-hand part of the slide that Randy has up right now. Our last question, Randy, are there opportunities for travel agents to cruise on Scenic? And can you explain how we would go about that?
Yes, there are opportunities. The good news, bad news, good news for us is that we don't have a lot of space typically available. But 2017, there are some sailings that are still a little light. The popular dates sell out very quickly for us. And so what you need to do, it's a great deal, but what you need to do is 4 months out, 120 days, 4 months. So it's starting in January. You can start looking at April and then kind of May and June and see if we have some, and it's best to go into Express Books. That's the easiest way to do it. And just do what I showed you there, do a search, find a bunch of different departure dates for that itinerary, and then see which one shows a lot of different open cabins and select one and then contact the BDM, just let them know that you're wanting to do this, you're going to book this. And so you'll book, let's say, April 15th on the Danube. You go ahead and book it just like you would book it like a client. So it's going to come out full price, less any discounts or whatever. But then you're going to send that confirmation to your BDM requesting the agent rate, which is starts at $495 for an agent or $995 for a companion. So instead of being $5,000 or $6,000, if what we do is we send it over to inventory control, and they say yay or nay depending on how it looks for us. We want to get you on board. Mr. Maroney, the owner and chairman, CEO, president, and everything of the company, has stated that he wants to get the agents on board. We've seen the result of that. Agents come back. I was at a presentation in Seattle, Washington last night with both consumers and agents there, and one of the agents had just come back. And I really didn't have to do much of my presentation. He just stood up and started giving accolades about how great it was. So that we know it works. And he's putting some groups together. So that's great. You want to do that. So that just work with your BDM on that. And if you require that you've taken the Scenic Specialist program, so that we know that you have an interest and an intent on trying to sell our product. So the next thing we want to do is get you on board so you really can experience better explain it to you. Customer why it's different.
Well, that sounds fantastic and a great opportunity. Randy, as always, this webinar has been fantastic. Our guest today has been Randy Goodrich. Randy is a business development manager and trainer for Scenic Cruises and Emerald Waterways. Randy, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Everybody go out there and sell some travel. Sell some
Sounds like
Scenic or Emerald too.
Sounds like a great idea. And thank you to our agents for taking time out of your day to be with us today. We will look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.